Hey guys, Jan and Leslie here for Functional Body Unit. In this video, we're gonna talk about the pancake and how to get better and deeper into the pancake. So before we show you our top 3 exercises to get better into the pancake and deeper, let's see how a good pancake should look like and what is important for a pancake. Okay, so Leslie is just gonna show you a nice, solid, clean pancake here. She's gonna be not in her widest straddle, but in a medium straddle here. You also can do it in your widest straddle, but choose like a medium straddle here. Then actually we're pointing our toes, flexing our quads. We're gonna show you an active pancake. There's a difference between active and just a passive pancake without engaging the quads or anything at all in your body, okay? So we're engaging the quads. That's gonna tilt your hip anteriorly, and now she's gonna fold forward with that quads engaged, and really her pelvic is tilting forward until she reaches the bottom with her whole body here. And it is possible to have a neutral spine. She has almost a neutral spine and she's completely flat. And what you also saw is she internally rotates naturally with her hip. So her feet, as you can see here, her feet and her whole leg is internally rotated here. So internal rotation is a big factor here as well. So now that you saw how a good pancake should look like, we're gonna show you our top 3 exercises to get deeper into a pancake and to get a better pancake mobility, okay? So my pancake isn't as good as hers, so we're gonna demonstrate you the 3 exercises right on me because I need that pancake mobility.
So before we start with the exercises, we're gonna look at his pancake and see what he needs to work on. So he's completely raw. He didn't warm up at all. So this is like his natural mobility / flexibility that he has without warming up anything. So again, he's not going into his widest straddle. And then he's just leaning forward as far as he can. And he's engaging his quad, which is good. He's plantar flexing his feet. And then go up once again. Try to engage the anterior pelvic tilt before you start. Yeah. Awesome. And then go forward. So this is his pancake. It's not the worst, it's not the best either. And we notice that probably his hamstrings are really tight and he has trouble engaging that anterior pelvic tilt. And this or the compensation comes from the thoracic spine and the TL junction to compensate for the lack of this lower body mobility. So we're going to start with axial rotations, which are basically capsule rotations, creating more space in the joint for the joint capsule so that he can rotate better, so he has more space and he can lean forward without needing to compensate with a thoracic spine. So go into a modified Cossack position. Leg is out in 90 degrees laterally. And then we're basically going to internally rotate. Torso stays forward. It's not tilting or rotating to the side of your leg. So stay forward and then start in neutral position going into external rotation. The initiation comes from the hip, initiating external rotation actively, and then initiating internal rotation actively. The initiation is not coming from the foot or the ankle, it's coming from here, trying to tilt that one forward, the hip forward. And you see he's already touching the ground. So to make this a little bit more challenging, you could just place a yoga block underneath it to give yourself some more space to work on. Going for internal rotation. Again, don't worry about the foot. all is happening here, all the stuff is happening inside your hip. Remember to stay upright and facing forward, going into external rotation. And another thing you might have noticed at the beginning when we tried his pancake, his foot, they didn't internally rotate when he went down. So he is lacking some internal rotation. When I'm in the pancake, I'm actually trying to get into external rotation, but my internal rotation is so much better than my external rotation that I really have to fight for staying in a neutral position. And he's the other way around. He has good external rotation, but internal rotation, even though it looks good here, is really bad when in a straightened position, when you have a straight leg. So that's why we work on axial rotations, to just get more joint space, workspace, and to work on that internal rotation. Next up is also in straddle position. We're going into a straddle, decent straddle, not necessarily the widest straddle, but the straddle we would use in a pancake. So we sit as close to the wall as possible, just as he's doing. We stay upright, and then we're basically going for end range rotationals. So now we're going to work our hip flexor strength, which is also determining our hamstring mobility, flexibility in this case. So the easier variation is when you lean over to one side of the leg, and then you just go for rotations. So you lift your leg, point them toes, and then just rotate for say 5 reps in each direction. This would be the easier variation. When you're done on this side, you go to the other side and do the same thing there. Try and stay as close to the wall as possible. If you want to make this really strict, you put your hands on the floor. If not, you can leave it like this if this is already too challenging. And then, see, your hip flexors, they will be on fire. If this is too hard for you, as I said, plant your hands on the floor. Or you could also just place your hands in front of you and lift both legs at the same time, going as close to the wall as possible for you to lift your legs off the floor. So you lift them off, trying to stay upright, and then you do the same thing. Going for 5 reps in each direction, and then you'll take a little break. And the better you get, the closer you go to the wall. And if you want to make this really challenging, put your hands behind your back and do it from there, okay? We're probably not going to demonstrate this, but no. But that's another progression you could go for. Last but not least exercise is our pancake kinetic stretch. So as we know, he's rounding his back, so I would just suggest him to sit on the yoga block to allow that the anterior pelvic tilt to happen. So sit on your yoga block. Otherwise, if you're already pretty decent or okay at this and you don't have trouble with that thoracic spine flexion, then you can just sit on the ground. So for the kinetic stretch, we're basically going to engage our quads, all of this, trying to lift them up, just as we did with the end range rotational. We try to lift them up and simultaneously try to lower down, as far down as we can. And then when we can't get any lower, see, his flexion is already better than when he was sitting on the ground. So when he can't go any lower, he's trying to push the feet into the ground, getting away from flexion, and then pushing the feet into the ground and getting back up into his starting position. Again, engaging his quads, trying to lift them off the ground and lowering down into his full pancake. Engage your quads, try to get them as close to your torso as possible. And then you come up by pushing your feet into the ground, pushing the earth away from you and getting back into your upright position. This is a really good exercise to work on your pancake actively, not just relaxing or trying to get into the position, but actually working to get in and out of your deepest range of motion actively.
I tell you, these 3 exercises are pretty badass when it comes to the pancake training. So as you can see, the active pancake training is totally different than just a normal passive pancake. Of course, a passive pancake is achievable. So with only having flexible hamstrings, you can lay down on the ground, but that's first not a safe position for you. So when it comes to injury prevention, that's definitely not what we would recommend you to do. And if you want to use this position actively when it comes to gymnastic training or calisthenics training, for example, for the Stoller press, you can train this variation, the active pancake, very good with these 3 exercises to achieve this active mobility, to actually use this for other gymnastics or calisthenics progressions. So if you like this video and have more questions about mobility training or calisthenics training, visit our website. The link is in the description below.